Last time on Fragmented Poe, crew compartments seem to have this problem where you're trapped in there. So I'm going to quick load back to when they were in orbit before I landed. Well, I'm back, and after about 2 months of trying to rescue these guys, I think my future KSP2 videos are going to be a little closer to home. Some Kerbin exploration, LKO kind of stuff, maybe exploring the moons. But there's way too many big obnoxious bugs to be going deep into the Kerbin system with people that you care about. As you might recall, last episode I got hung up because my guys couldn't get out of the lander. Well, they've added in the ability to EVA out of those hitchhiker modules, so I just have to test it out. Maybe I can land this thing, who knows? Alright, that rules out landing this thing, but I had to try. Not what I was expecting at all, but I'm willing to say that one's on me because the hatch is behind that truss section. So, needless to say, this is not worth recovering. So I'm gonna quick load back to before everything exploded, and then I'm just gonna head to the VAB and just assemble a rescue spaceship. I don't even care about landing on Duna right now. I just want my Kerbals back. So I encountered a strange loading bug where my spacecraft instantly explodes. Hopefully this isn't a sign of things to come. I did lose my footage of putting this thing in orbit. I used my heavy launch vehicle that I used for my moon landing a couple videos ago, but I was accidentally recording the wrong monitor, so yay, good luck omens indeed. Now I'm just fine-tuning my transfer burn. I want to be passing on the right, so I'm going prograde. I want to be as close to a zero inclination as possible because I really want to intercept that other spaceship that's in orbit there. And I can save myself a ton of fuel by taking some extra time in this step and making sure I've got a good orbit planned. And then the trick will be actually executing it. After I complete the burn, I can ditch this transfer stage, and now I'm off to the nuclear stage here, and I'm just going to do a fine-tuning of my approach. Then it's just a matter of time warping to the encounter and trying not to skip past it, and hoping my orbit looks like what I expect when I change spheres of influence. Fingers crossed. This is looking good, so I will just fly by, and when I get near my periapsis, I'll start firing retrograde until I can park in an orbit and then assess my next steps to get my astronauts back. So I've concocted this crazy plan to save fuel. I'm going to use the lander on the stranded spacecraft because that still has fuel and working engines. I'm going to throttle one of the engines down to like halfway or so. I'm going to ditch the propulsion module because it's heavy, and then hopefully it'll be kind of balanced that I can circularize my orbit and make it easier for these two to dock together. That seems to have worked well enough, so now I'm just going to make a quick save, bookmark that here so I can return to it with these nice orbits. And now I'm just going to use my ion engines and just inch my way closer and closer until I can dock. I'm actually really impressed with the ion engines on this. I threw them in on a whim, but especially with the ability to time warp while your engines are throttled on, these are extra good in this game. I am able to use them for the entire rendezvous process here and save a bunch of hydrogen. Just keeping an eye on my speed relative to the target, I just accelerate towards them and then should be passing by pretty close, it looks like, at a relatively slow speed. So I'd say ion engines are excellent for rendezvous. I'm pretty close here, so I'm going to make another quick save, and I'm going to name it so I can find it. Hey, things are looking up in this cursed space program. I'm just going to slow down and then go in for a docking. We've got our astronauts back. I was seriously worried I would never get these Kerbals back again, and I try to keep them around, even though KSP2 makes it kind of hard to care about it, because I swear sometimes the Kerbals just vanish out of spaceships or reappear again. Well, now I've got my 5 Kerbals. Bill, who came to rescue everybody, and then Valentina and her crew. But we're not out of the woods yet. We got to get back to Kerman. So now I'll time warp until if you line up Duna in the sun at the bottom of your monitor, then it'd be kind of straight. Kerman would be straight down from the sun, and then a little bit closer to Duna, a little bit further past that. I'm just going to kind of eyeball it, time warp it here, and then start messing around with some maneuver nodes. Everything looked good, like I was going to have a close encounter. A few times I even had a total encounter. And as soon as I would make my burn, it would all look fine. But then when I would time warp out of Duna's sphere of influence, my entire orbit would change, and I'd just be off into deep space. I'm not sure what that was about exactly, but I just kept reloading to a previous save and then plotting a new maneuver. It was extremely tedious, but eventually what I decided to do is to not even try to get an encounter with Kerman. I would just escape Duna's sphere of influence and then plan another burn after that to rendezvous with Kerman, even if it meant we were going to be orbiting the sun for decades. Thankfully, once I was out near the apoapsis of my orbit, I was able to slow down enough until I would get a rendezvous with Kerbin, and I was able to execute the maneuver. And once I got really close, I just focused in on the planet of Kerbin, and then I switched to my ion engines and just very delicately adjusted my trajectory until I was going to crash right into the planet. So normally at this point I'd be really worried about how fast I'm coming in and entry heating, but since that's not a thing in the game, all I have to do is hope my parachute's open, and I mean, I'm gonna hit the planet. So especially since I'm coming down in a straight line, I really need to get rid of this service module as soon as possible so I don't collide with it. Alright, we're pretty much home free. I mean, as long as these parachutes open. Parachutes? Any minute? Yay, parachutes! Alright. Yeah, we saved them. I didn't think that I'd ever see these Kerbals again. That's a beautiful sight. A night sky, water, there's grass, breathable air. This place is way better. At last, back on Kerbin. And now to make them wait till the next morning so they can all get out for a photo. Thanks so much for watching. I'm sorry it took me 2 months to get a sequel. Or the part 3 to the Duna adventures that went horribly, horribly wrong. Just been busy with life and stuff. I'm thinking 1 video a month is a more reasonable target, so I'm going to shoot for that. I'll definitely be back again with another video. Like I said earlier, it's probably going to be missions sticking to Kerbin exploration, low Kerbin orbit projects. If I'm doing anything in deep space after this, it's going to be robots. I really need to start asking folks to subscribe and like the video at the beginning instead of the end, but if you haven't and you would, I would really appreciate it.